Christian McCaffrey likely out 3 to 6 weeks if we had to take an early stab on it. Christian McCaffrey getting hurt during the Thursday night football game against the Houston Texans. How do you trade Christian McCaffrey away? How do you trade away an injured Christian McCaffrey? Or should you trade him? Or should you hold him? What do you do with Christian McCaffrey? That's what this show is about. The entire show will be and revolve around CMC, the 1.1 fantasy football overall drafted player back in August, September, all the way back to January drafts. This was the 1.1 consensus, and no one made a mistake taking Christian McCaffrey 1.1. I mean, clearly it burns now, but the dude is the best player in football, and there was really good logic to him being healthy and ready. Examples of Alvin Kamara getting hurt in 2019, small lingering issues that kept him out, and he comes back on a tear in 2020. Christian McCaffrey gets a lot of his work as a reception, king, and up the gut, running between the tackles type beast. And he divided his workload up as such that he would probably stay more healthy than the average player. People worried about it walking into week one, but he was the consensus 1.1. Nobody made an error drafting CMC number one. He was the consensus number one. Very few people on planet Earth at 1.1 didn't take Christian McCaffrey at 1.1. ADP tells us that story. But neither here nor there. We are right here. And this man is looking like he's probably out 3 to 6 weeks. Early guess, early indication. We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure. iSong says, thank goodness you told me to stash Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard has been a show favorite. We love Hubbard. We love Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, let's stop for a second. I know this is a Chuba Hubbard and CMC show, but Tony Pollard can win leagues in 2021 in similar fashion as Chuba Hubbard could step up in a big way. Chuba Hubbard may only play 1, 2, 3. We don't know. McCaffrey could come back in 2 weeks. He could come back in 1 week. We don't know for certain. That's why there's a question mark sitting there. We don't know. Early indications are that he probably is looking at a 3 to 6 week window. Unless this thing is very, 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 very minor. So we're going to break all that down and more. Chuba Hubbard, Christian McCaffrey. Do you hold McCaffrey? Might he be out just 2 weeks, 1 week? Or should you trade him now? Let's break it down. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back.
You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Smitty!
Take a lap.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Smitty. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. This is an emergency edition. This is the Christian McCaffrey injured edition. And to address the questions already that are coming at me, like, Smitty, where are you getting 3 to 6 weeks? Like, what if he comes back? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm telling you, there's a question mark there. We don't know, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here, Brian. That's why we're here, to talk about what do we do? What do we say? How do we predict this? What do we... It could be like C0110 says, could be longer. It could be shorter. It could be exactly 3 to 6 weeks. The MRI comes out tomorrow, like Boba Fett said. And so I don't want to hear like, you don't know. Like, no one knows. Of course no one knows. Why do you think I called an emergency meeting, pal? To discuss it. All of us together to group think this out. Hit that like button, says media. We're here in group think format and session. We're assembling. The fantasy football minds are coming together so we can figure out what we do about Christian McCaffrey. So stop just rushing to judgment on what I'm saying and let's think this out and talk about it like civilized people. Okay, what do we do? What do we do with McCaffrey? Now, I did a quick Instagram live where we talked this out. He is out. He's out right now. He's out. And he's out 3 to 6 weeks. That's the early consensus by a lot of people. A lot of doctors have come out and talked about it. You tweak your hamstring, you're not coming back in 1 week, pal. Like, I'm no scientist, bro, but I have been doing this a long time. There's no logical sense to saying, oh, he may be back in 1 week. Like, Christian McCaffrey's looking like he's out for at least 1 to 2 weeks minimum. Okay, so let's break it down. McCaffrey. Do you hold him? Do you sell him? Number one question you got to ask yourself is, am I built to survive 2 or 3, 4 games without McCaffrey? Will I even make the playoffs? Will I be the kind of owner that survives this with Christian McCaffrey on the pine for 3 or 4 weeks? If you've got depth, if you're in an 8-man league and you got all kinds of players you're debating putting on the bench anyways on a weekly basis, you're probably fine. You don't need to be trading Christian McCaffrey off. Put him on the bench, put him on IR, pick up another player. You probably own Chuba Hubbard anyway, right? Because I told you to, and you'll be fine. The other scenario is where you may not be fine, but you picked up Chuba Hubbard, you own Chuba Hubbard, and you can put Chuba Hubbard in there until McCaffrey comes back. You'll probably have lesser type production than McCaffrey, but you'll have a guy that's going to fill in pretty nicely. And think about it this way: if you do own Chuba Hubbard, there's no way someone's going to acquire McCaffrey without taking Chuba Hubbard. So again, ask yourself, am I okay starting Chuba Hubbard for 2, 3, 4 weeks? You got to anticipate somewhere along the lines of 2 to 4 weeks to be safe. So you got to ask yourself that question. And if you get to the point where you're like, no, I can't survive, I won't make it, I'm going to have to make a trade. Let's talk about those scenarios. Let's talk about those people. Let's come up with a trade that makes sense for all of you and what you would or wouldn't do. So let's go to the marker board and break it down. So if you have yourself, actually let's go to this marker board right here. You have yourself CMC. Let's pull everybody in here and see what you all would do, okay? If you had Christian McCaffrey, would you trade him for Tyreek Hill straight up? Just answer that question. Would you trade CMC knowing what you know now? I'm not asking you to wait. I'm not asking the conservative drafter out there that's looking at this board, reading it, listening to me and says, well, it depends on what happens. I'm not asking it depends on what happens. I'm asking you to make a call right now, knowing what you know, which is nothing, which is that he's probably out 3 to 6 weeks. He probably is. You don't tweak your hamstring the way he tweaked it, come back in 1 week. Not to mention, you do that, you're going to end up aggravating it again and be out for yet another couple weeks, and this become a bigger and bigger problem. They're going to be careful with him. Even the commentators are like, they're definitely going to be out without him next week, and we'll play it by ear. They're taking a conservative approach to reporting on it, which is smart. And I think you at least expect him to be out, minimum 1 week, minimum. So we got a yes, we got a yup, we got a need more, we got a nope, I need a running back in the mix, yes, yep, no, 2 to 3 players. You'd be lucky to get Hill with my friends, yes. What's up, all guy? What's up, Silver? I'd want 2 for 1 no matter what. So the consensus basically is that this would be acceptable, I'm going to say, based on everybody's voting, okay? Not everybody's in agreement with it, not everybody loves it, but in a sense, we're getting a yes. You would take Tyreek Hill in general as a group for Christian McCaffrey right now, not knowing what we know. Let's do 2 for 1s. For those of you out there saying, okay, well, I need a running back. Let's throw Monty in the mix. Would you do Monty plus DK? Monty plus DK for CMC? If you are predicting now what you know now, you know nothing now. We know nothing now. None of us know anything right now. Grossman, that would be a perfect trade. Let me see what Grossman says. Hill and Javonte, yes, we're getting there. And Silver saw that on the live. We talked about Javonte. Javonte is going to be a key component in a minute, so just hang tight. DK and Monty, yes. In a second. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yes. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So now we have all of the negative Nancy's in here saying, no, don't trade CMC. You're crazy. He could be out 1 week. He might be out 1 week. He also might be out 4 to 6 weeks. He might also do what he did last year and hurt you all year. I'm not saying get rid of him for a ham sandwich. I'm not saying trade him away at all. I'm saying ask yourself the honest question is, can you survive 2, 3, 4 weeks without Christian McCaffrey? Will your lineup survive? Will you do well enough with Hubbard if you have Hubbard? Will you be okay? Okay? So 3 to 6 weeks. I'm not even being aggressive with this. It could be a 4 to 8 week injury. I'm being very conservative. I'm even using 3 instead of 4. Most people out there are saying 4 to 6 weeks. They're all projecting. We don't know. But this is a safe assessment as of right now. Okay, so here's where I think everyone should go. If you're going to get rid of Christian McCaffrey, to the eager beaver that wants to grab this guy now on the hopes that he's still the same guy 2 weeks from now, starting 2 weeks and shocks everybody. This is the owner. The owner that's buying right now at this price is the owner that's got that, I want everybody to look at me and say, oh my God, he pulled a fast one. He swooped in and took McCaffrey. The news broke that it wasn't even that bad, and he got McCaffrey for nothing. Let's do a crafty trade. Let's do a trade that even in 2 weeks, let's say McCaffrey's out only 2 weeks, this owner makes out like a bandit. This guy doesn't have Chuba Hubbard, but he has McCaffrey, okay? This is what you do. You trade CMC for Javonte Williams and a wide receiver that's top 5. And there are several struggling ones, whether it be Justin Jefferson, whether it be you could use DK, you could use Ridley. This is kind of a crafty way to get out of this situation. I know it's risky getting rid of him, but if you don't have this example, you don't have Chuba Hubbard. In this example, you don't have Chuba Hubbard. This is a crafty way to get out of the situation. I preferably like Justin Jefferson, and I think he's probably easier to get than Ridley personally. But I would do that. You could also, I would take Kamara right now, because everyone that has Kamara is doubting Kamara anyway. So that's easy. CMC for Kamara. Punch it. Mr. Punch, appreciate the super chat. Master, appreciate the super chat, pal. And I think that's all of them so far. So, oh no, here's another one. Mark Cleveland. Mark, thank you for the super chat, pal. And where's my offer, Mark? Trade Woods and Chuba for Metcalf. Yes. Punch it, Mark. Punch it now. Do it now, Mark. That is a fantastic trade that gets you in the mix. That's how you do it. Chuba Hubbard. This is Mark Cleveland's. Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to put it right here. Chuba plus Woods. You can't even see that. Chuba Hubbard plus Woods for DK. You can't read that either. Crush it, Mark. Do that right now. I love it. I got offer for CMC and my cut. Let's see. I got an offer for my CMC and my cup for his Scary Terry and Tyson Williams and Jonathan Taylor. No, that's not that. That's not selling. That's not selling high, pal. That's definitely selling really, really low, in my opinion. I like JT, but you're giving up Cup. You're giving up Cup. I like Scary Terry, but no, I don't think I do that, pal. Mr. Punch, remember earlier when I was talking about trading for CMC? Glad I didn't and have Chuba waiting. Oh, so you got Chuba anyway. To see the amount of people promoting Royce over Chuba, the kid looked solid. Chuba did look good. I saw a couple people in here, Mr. Punch, that said Chuba didn't look good. Totally disagree. I think Chuba looked good. They used him a lot. They threw to him. He's a good pass catcher. He is the receiving back. Like, they used Royce Freeman near the goal line. He didn't get in. They took him out. Could Royce Freeman be the goal line guy in Vulture? Sure. It could happen. But who do they trust in there more? Chuba. Who do they throw to more? Chuba. Who has the Christian McCaffrey skill set to pull in passes? It's only Chuba Hubbard. Chuba is the answer. He'll be fine. He will be a top, I don't know. I would say, I would be cautious to call him like a top 10 running back until we see him produce. You know what I mean? But if he is getting Christian McCaffrey volume, he could flirt in that range. But right now, let's err on the side of caution and say Chuba Hubbard has the potential to be a running back 2 go forward. Smitty, I'm 0-2, lost JK, Gus the Bus, and Christian McCaffrey. My team isn't looking hot. I got to make a move. Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry about that. Chuba is like Clyde, all hype, but won't get it done. Okay, Brian. Yeah, Chuba's going to be good. I think Chuba's going to be just fine. And you got him like almost for nothing. Like, even if he doesn't work out, he was a awesome attempt at a guy that could save you in this time of need. You're in trouble with Clyde as a running back too. Don't get rid of him too cheaply, pal. Don't do it. Christian McCaffrey and Devontae Smith for JT and Gibson. I take that. Let's put that on the board. I think I take that. Let me write it out, though. Let me write it out to be safe, pal. Where is that at? CMC and Devontae Smith. I assume this is redraft, unless you say otherwise. For JT and Gibson. I take that. We're only JT, not JD. JT and Gibson. I take that. We're only 2 weeks in for these two guys. Okay, they haven't played their third week yet. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt in this trade. I take that. But that's me. Chuba out snap Freeman 40-10. He catches that TD and he has a running back 1 week. Not saying he's going to be a world beater, but will start on most teams. I agree with that. Yeah, Chuba would have had a much different night had he had scored that touchdown. Definitely could have had another 6 points there. So another couple ideas. Let's use a running back like. What would you guys need with Mixon? What would you need with Mixon to do this deal? I'd like to know what you guys think of this. If you're a CMC owner, so Mr. B, I never thought we'd agree. I think you trade CMC if you get the right deal. I don't like DJ Moore enough. I like him a lot, but I don't like him enough to make him the piece here. I don't know about Hawkinson either. Those aren't horrible. Lockett is a decent idea. Lockett is a decent idea. Why is my mic so low? How's that? Is that better? How's that? Is that better? Is that too loud? Mixon is the GOAT. Keenan Allen. Yeah, that's a good one. Keenan Allen. Or Godwin. CD would be good. I really like that one. I don't know if you could even pull that off. Mixon and CD. Or, let's say, this running back here. Would you guys take this? The reason I use Clyde, not because he's a fantastic buy low. He's a decent buy low, right? He's a decent buy low. Decent, not great, a decent buy low. Does anybody think this is a great way to get him, though? Because the Clyde owners already just scratching their head. DK struggling. They don't know what they've got. You tell them, hey, I got little Christian McCaffrey here. They can come on over. I'm curious if you guys like this as a throw-in. I don't know about Edmonds and A.J. Brown, pal. Najee would be interesting. Let's do a Najee example. Kyle says CMC will be back in 10 days. I don't think so, pal. You never know. That's why I've got a question mark here. We don't know. All of us are guessing at this point. The whole point of this show is, do you do a calculated risk and trade them away, or a calculated risk and keep them? Because make no mistake about it, this is what I want everybody to hear right now. Okay, I'm not telling you I know how long Christian McCaffrey is going to be out. I want to repeat that 3 times in a row so you all understand where I'm coming from. I do not know if Christian McCaffrey will be out even more than 1 game. I don't know. Let me repeat it the 3rd time. Christian McCaffrey may only miss 1 game. Okay? I think I got that out of the way. Okay? So for those in here that are upset that I'm even talking about 3 to 6 weeks and we don't even know, traditionally when these injuries happen, you do see 3 to 6 weeks. Plain and simple. But let me ask you the question here. Let me ask you the question. Okay? Because this is what matters. Do you feel... I think you keep him and just suffer until he gets back. It depends, Matt, on your situation. That's what we talked about earlier. What if you can't wait? But here's the question. How much risk this if you came here, and you can only hear one thing, hear this right here. This is what needs to get you in perspective here. Okay? Because everybody's perspective is going to be different, and everybody's situation is going to be different. Is there a greater risk for your team to count on McCaffrey coming back in a shorter amount of time than what I'm projecting here? And not and just not making a trade, you bank on the risk that the news breaks and falls a certain way tomorrow or the next day that says McCaffrey might only miss 1 to 2 weeks. Do you run that risk of being wrong there, or do you run the risk of trading away McCaffrey and in finding that out, and you have this other 2 players that you got, and you're like, darn it, I could have kept McCaffrey? Which one's riskier? Because there is risk on both sides. If you're going to say, I'm not making a trade, I'm going to hold them, I'm going to wait, you're running the risk of losing an opportunity to sell and get a Najee Harris and potentially trying to think of a player like DJ Moore. You could maybe get this combo right here. I'm not saying it's the combo that you like. I'm not saying it's the combo you would accept. But if he is out, if he ends up being out 4 to 6 weeks, what was the bigger risk? Waiting to hear this news and now, boom, you can't get this at all because you decided to hold off for a week. There's risk on both sides. So my point is, I don't want to hear one is wrong, one is not wrong. Like, none of us are right or wrong right now. The whole point of this show is to try and come together, group think this out, and try and get a temperature of not only what you and I should do, we all own them, but what's this? Let's see, TP has a super chat here. We got to figure out what we're going to do. is why we're here. Zinski says, would I trade Swift for CMC? You got to get more than that. But you're on the right track. Swift and who? Swift and a DK? Sure. Swift and a AJ Brown? Absolutely. Swift and a Ridley or Justin Jefferson? For sure. We do that all day long. I'll do Swift, Najee, so CMC for Najee and AJB, or Najee and Keenan Allen, Najee and CeeDee Lamb, or CeeDee Lamb and a quarterback upgrade from, I don't know, Russell Wilson is your Russell Wilson, so put him here. And you get a Mahomes, or something. Like, maybe. Those are just ideas. But it all comes down to how you feel about your team. Can your team survive? Do you have Chuba Hubbard? Can you weather the storm? Those are trades for a healthy CMC, man. No, they're not. No. There are people, we have people in here saying no. That's the whole point of this video, is to get the temperature. We have people in this live stream saying, no, I won't take Najee Harris. That's why I've asked over and over, I won't take Najee Harris and DJ Moore. We have people in here that say no to this. So you can get it. Maybe not in every example. McCaffrey, no. Sorry, Jordan. Can I survive without giving up CMC? I don't know, Rock Out. Let me see. Let me get your super chats on here. Giancarlo says CMC for Najee and AJ Brown. Absolutely. Do that in a heartbeat. Or McLaurin and Najee. I probably would take either. I'd rather have AJ Brown. But definitely, Giancarlo, go get AJ Brown and Najee. Even not knowing anything, you're speculating it's still safe. Rock Out, let me see what your team is. I think you super chatted. You really think anyone is going to trade someone to me for a hurt CMC? I'm 0-2, lost Mostert and Sermon. JJ, Javonte would be nice, but sounds crazy. It's not crazy, man. It's not, because we have people in here that are saying no, they would hold CMC, so it is not crazy. There are people out there that like to chase ambulances when it comes to this type of stuff, and you could definitely make a move. Hubbard is on my waiver wire. Well, TP, you should have already grabbed him, but you can grab him now. Again, Swift, thanks for the super, Zinski. Swift and AJB. Swift and a wide receiver. That I would do. That I would do, pal. Rock Out, here's your other question. CMC went down for me. My QB is Josh Allen. Running backs are CMC, Swift, Tyson, Javonte. You could really use Javonte to break out right about now. Carter's kind of coming up. Jefferson, Deontay Johnson, Callaway, Corey. Okay, so AB, God, if he just wasn't on IR right now, this is a disaster. This year has been a disaster. You have Chuba Hubbard. Do you have Chuba Hubbard? I don't think you do. You could use this type of deal right here, Rock Out. A Najee and a DJ Moore. Preferably Najee and AJB, or Najee and DK. And even if you've got to give up something small here to make it DK Metcalf, I would do it. So CMC and something small for Najee and DK, make it happen. Just depends on what you're throwing in. But you may not be able to do a straight up CMC. You may have to give up another player. Scott, I see your super chat here. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. I'm trying to go through and make sure I got all the super chats. Jordan with the super chat. Rodriguez with the super chat. I think I'm caught up on him. Let me just get to this one. I was offered Gibby for Tunyon and Tyson. Do you accept? Yes, take Gibby. Gibby over Tunyon and Tyson. I assume you got a decent backup tight end, but I probably would do that anyway. Just figure it out. Jordan, I don't own much CMC shares, but me being a diehard Panthers fan, it hurts seeing it. 3-0, Smitty. Awesome job, Jordan, on your 3-0, pal. Way to go. Okay, got that one. Rock out. I wish you luck on that, my man. Mr. Punch. Glad you didn't make that trade. Xavier. Trade Chark, Hines, Fant for Kittle and Javonte. Yes, trade Chark, Hines, and Fant in a heartbeat for Kittle and Javonte. Heck, I'd probably just take Kittle or just take Javonte. You're getting both. Xavier, take it, punch it, do it now. Do it now, pal. That is absolutely crazy. Rodriguez, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. If you've got a question, please let me know, and I will definitely help you there, pal. That's 49 not American dollars. I the first time I saw that too, I was like, "Holy crap." I don't know what the calculation is, but the US dollar's on its way to making that a real $49. We're almost there. We're getting there. Najee and AJ Brown. Yes, again, I love that. Rock out. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the super chats. Let's get back to it. I know a lot of you are upset on this. I know a lot of you are sad. I know a lot of you are not liking the hard talk. Like, hey, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? But this is why we're here. So for everybody that's getting upset about, you don't know he's out 3 to 6 weeks. I know that. That's why I have a question mark there. I'm not trying to mislead anybody. But we need to discuss what happens if he is out 3 to 6 weeks, which is more likely than him not. Okay? The way he pulled up, he could be out 3 to 6 weeks. And what I'm trying to do is set you up for a trade that even if it ends up being 1 to 2 weeks, you're still very, very happy. Okay? So if you're anchor, whenever you do a trade, this is what you do. This is how you trade. Let's go over to the marker board. Go to the marker board. Let me put the mic in. Plug the mic in. Okay. Mic is plugged in. All right, here we go. This is how we trade. Can you guys hear me okay? I think you can. Whenever you do a trade in fantasy football, first and foremost, let's say you're trading CMC. Let's pretend for a second. Let's pretend CMC is healthy. Pretend he's healthy, okay? For a second. When you're trading CMC for 2 players, because you're not trading him for 1 player. He's the best player in fantasy football, okay? You're not trading the man for 1 player. You're trading CMC for 2 players, maybe 3. What you do is you go around your league, you find the anchor piece to your trade. You're going to always find the anchor. Okay? Once you find the anchor and you locate the anchor, your next step, let's say, and the anchor doesn't have to be the best player in the deal. The anchor could be Javonte Williams. Once you have the anchor part of your trade, that lets you know what this other piece has to be. Does it equal DK? Does it equal Justin Jefferson? Does it equal Calvin Ridley? Could it equal Terry McLaurin? No. You got to ask yourself, what does it equal? This right here defines what that is. So the sum total minus Javonte Williams equals this player. So what's player A? Who is player A? Because what you want to totally get out of it, you need to make sure that player A equals that. Because you've already taken Javonte out of the value of that. So if it's Javonte, then this player most likely needs to be a Justin Jefferson or higher. It has to be. If you want this to work out at all. You know, if this guy's popping off. Now, if he's healthy, this isn't enough because Javonte's not there yet. This trade I'm doing if I assume that CMC is not healthy and out, let's call it 2 to 6 weeks. Then I'm contemplating that trade. Why? This alone could potentially rival CMC. This alone, once he gets in there, there's upside for him to potentially rival CMC. Now, of course, I'm drafting CMC ahead of both of these guys, but you're making a trade where you can make an argument later that I could potentially have two pieces that can compete with the CMC side. Let's say CMC comes back in 2 weeks, and he's only out 2 weeks. So let's say 2 weeks, and then he's back. This will still suffice if he jumps into the lineup and makes it worthwhile. Now, let's say we use the bigger name player as the anchor, okay? So the anchor in this case will be, let's use DK. So DK is now the anchor. Rodriguez. Let me read Rodriguez's super chat here. 20 for 1. Traded CMC for Chubb and CD Lamb. There you go. Before the game. Nice work. Nice work. That's a good trade for you, pal. And I appreciate your super chat. Thank you for explaining the pesos equation there. Because I didn't know. Just got an offer dynasty trade. Chuba and a 2022 second for Jerry Jeudy. I have Jerry Jeudy, but I also have CMC. Yeah, I would probably take Chuba Hubbard in the second for Jerry Jeudy in your position. If you have a chance to win, Giancarlo. Only if you have a chance to win. You don't want to give up on Jerry Jeudy for that, but that isn't a bad offer if you have a chance at winning your league and a shot at some cash. You know what I mean? It makes it worth it. Would you trade CMC for Mixon and AJ Brown? Absolutely would, rock out. Absolutely. So let's use that example, Mixon and AJ Brown. So if AJ Brown is the anchor, okay, you find AJ Brown on the person's team. He's the anchor of the trade. Then you look at person's said team, and Mixon's on the roster. There's Mixon. Mixon's on the roster. Do we use Mixon? Well, odds are they're not going to do this trade. It's kind of a lot to give up, but I certainly would do it. And if either one of these guys could be potentially the anchor on that, let's say the anchor of the trade. And when I say anchor, again, doesn't have to be the best player in the deal. Anchor just means, let's see. Master had a super chat. CMC and Cup. CMC and Cup for his JT and Tyreek Hill. CMC and Cup for JT and Tyreek Hill. What do you guys think of that? I don't think CMC and Cup for JT and Hill. That's close. It's kind of hard to evaluate. Chat, can you let Master know what you think of that? Please. Give him some groupthink on that. Xavier, appreciate the super chat. Trade Shark, already got that one. Okay. I hope you did that, by the way. I hope you left it live, came back victorious, and made that trade. So, anchor, everyone keeps saying Smitty loves the word anchor. I do love the word anchor. And the reason anchor is so important here is because you got to find out what you need and then what you can pile on top to make it work. Christian McCaffrey. If you don't do this, if you don't look at someone's team and say, oh, here's their team, all the player names, identify the anchor player, and let's say the anchor player is Kyle Pitts. It doesn't have to be the best player in the deal, just the player you want to anchor the trade around, and you're going to grab other players to make it work. Let's say the anchor of the trade is Kyle Pitts. Let's say you're struggling at tight end. You have McCaffrey. You have no tight end. You've been getting screwed over week in, week out so far at tight end. Well, there's only 2 weeks, but maybe you had a guy play tonight as your tight end, and you need to make a move. Kyle Pitts becomes your anchor. And now you just have to fill in and make this guy add up to a Christian McCaffrey based on your evaluation of Chris McCaffrey. What player would work for that? What player would work? CMC is not out 100% for 3 weeks. He's potentially out 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks, somewhere in that ballpark, according to a lot of different sources. There is no official timetable out yet. Thanks, Smitty, for your advice to start Cooks as a wide receiver. Flex Myers, CEH, or Javonte. If it's Javonte, I'd probably go Javonte, pal, but it's really, really hard. The CMC owner wants a tight end, trade Najee and Hawkinson. The CMC owner wants a tight end, trade Najee and Hawkinson. I would want to get Najee and somebody else. I wouldn't mind Hawkinson, I suppose, if that's what you're asking. But this would be interesting if you could get, I mean, you could go this direction. I kind of like to use a wide receiver as the anchor point of the trade, and it be DK or Justin Jefferson or Ridley. I feel like that is the best way to approach this. And then that gives you flexibility to look over the person's team and identify I saw a name over there that popped into my head too, Kareem Hunt. Hunt replaces CMC, not in great fashion, but he does a decent job replacing CMC's production, considering you're getting a DK or a Justin Jefferson or a Calvin Ridley, which is the anchor of the 2-for-1 trade. And Hunt was the identifiable addition on the roster that made sense to you. It's all about finding the one component that you want to add to the trade and then constructing the trade based on already adding that player. Hunt DK, Hunt JJ, Hunt Ridley for CMC. Now, I know, again, a lot of you are going to be like, hey, we don't even know if he's out. Hunt and Diggs, I think that's enough. I take Hunt and Diggs for CMC right now. Is there a risk? Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that tells you that there's not risk involved in trading CMC for Hunt? What was it? Hunt and what? Hunt and Diggs? Anybody that says there's not risk involved in that is blowing smoke. We don't know the results to CMC's MRI. That will happen tomorrow. But again, for everybody in here saying, Smitty, you can't talk about this yet. Yes, I can, because we need to prepare. And there's risk on both sides of this fence. There's risk that if you don't take action now, you missed a window. There's risk that if you take action now, you overreacted and he's out 1 week. Or there's, like I said in the beginning, you may have Chuba Hubbard and not need to do any moves at all. So there's a ton of different ways to look at this. If you're coming in late and you think you have my take on lock and you want to blast that I'm talking about this at all, you need to rewatch the whole video. There's 44 minutes and 35 seconds of me hitting it from 100 different angles so that you understand what I'm talking about. Because no one here is telling you that Christian McCaffrey's for sure out 3 to 6 weeks yet. These are the early indications we're getting, and there's risk to all sides of this. There's risk to no action. There's risk to early action. The question you have to ask yourself is, which one is more risky for your team? Are you better off taking the risk out of the equation and getting this? Are you better off taking a Ridley and Monty right now, knowing what you know, which is nothing, and solving the problem before you even find out tomorrow what's going on? It's up to you. It's up to you. I'm merely here to take the temperature of the room. We've tossed out a bunch of different offers. You've seen what people like and don't like what offers. And now you can make the best decision for you. Mr. Punch, is it Kyler, DK, AJ Brown, Najee, Dame, Hawkinson, Mike Davis, Beasley, AB, Ingram? Would you trade CMC? You have Chuba, you're 1-1. You've got Kyler, you've got DK, you've got AJ Brown, you got Najee, you got Dame. I don't know that you need to if you've got Chuba, but I trade anybody. Like, if you can land this trade, pal, if you can land DK and that marker is bleeding. If you can land DK and I don't know. I mean, Monty was one of the better examples. If you could land this, even if you're wrong and he misses just 1 to 2 weeks, that's still not a bad fallback. Like, you're doing okay. I'm not asking anybody. Marker. Disaster. That one's like bleeding. That's got too much marker going on. Prime it. There we go. This poor eraser, man. Need to get it out of here. Too many DK analysts. What's that mean? What's that mean, pal? All right, let's see. Jason has a super chat. Appreciate you, Mr. Punch. If you have another question, let me know if I didn't answer it right. 12-team PPR, 2 running back, 1 wide receiver flex. Tyreek Hill, Ridley, Cup, your receivers are amazing. Jamar Chase, Rondell Moore, God, your receivers are good. Mixon, Jacobs, Gaskin, Tyson, Cook, upgrade Tyson and Jamar for Kittle. I wouldn't mind that for your team because you don't need Jamar, you know. So I would probably do that if I were you. Upgrade to Kittle. Kittle's worth the risk in your situation. I also would look at quarterback. Who's your quarterback? I don't think you listed your quarterback. But I wouldn't be opposed to using Jamar and your quarterback to get a Josh Allen on the cheap, Jason. I'd go in either direction with that. Fernando, thank you for the super chat. Mr. Punch. Thank you, Mr. Punch. And again, I would definitely look to try and get an AJB, or I'm sorry, you already have DK. Let me hit Mr. Punches again just to make sure I got him covered because he's been dropping super chats like a beast, and I want to make sure you're taken care of. So if you've got Chuba in this or you've got Chuba and CMC in your example right there, if you can get you've got Najee, you've got AJ Brown, you've got DK. If you can get a Justin Jefferson and like a Monty or something even close to that, I would maybe consider that in your situation because you got enough talent, man. Your team is going to be good regardless, but I would probably do that if I were you. Fernando, Smitty, my team is Hurts, CMC, Mixon, Sermon, Connor, Chuba, Pollard, Deontay, Jamar Chase, Judy, Lockett, Myers, Waller, what trades you recommend. So I like Hurts. You got CMC, unfortunately, that is a blow. You've got Chuba, though, to back him up. You need wide receiver help. Your wide receivers are pretty good, but they're not great. Like they're playing solid. Like they're kind of crafty, man. Deontay, Chase, and Lockett's very crafty. Waller solid. You had a good team, just getting hit by CMC in this injury. Chuba should fill in nicely. I wouldn't overreact if I'm you, because we don't know. Maybe McCaffrey's out 1 to 2 weeks. Don't overreact if you're not getting the right deal. But if someone comes along, pal, and gives you Najee, who's struggling, and AJB, or Jefferson or Ridley, I take it. I take it. In your situation, I take it. In your situation, I like it. I wouldn't give up like a Deontay or throw in a Lockett or Jamar. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm telling you to go get 2 players for 1 or don't do anything at all. Mr. Punch, I'd be trading for CMC in this case. Okay, Mr. Punch, let me get your team back up here. I knew I wasn't getting your question right. That's why I kept going back, Mr. Punch. I was a little... So, in your situation, Damian Harris is an interesting player to trade in your situation. You have Chuba. So, you have Chuba already. I would trade Damian Harris, pal. And something. I don't know if I'd give AB though. I don't think I'd give AB. I don't want to give AB. I mean, I don't know if he would take, if he's hurting at running back so much that you could just give Damian Harris and Mike Davis for CMC. I would do that in a second. I would give AB and Mike Davis. Offer him that. You can't do the trade until next week anyway because Christian McCaffrey played tonight. So this would go through. He's not missing AB. You can upsell that. Say, hey, AB's on COVID, but guess what? You're getting AB. I got blue all over me. You're getting AB COVID free. He's ready to rumble. Antibodies included. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Punch? I would do that. Upsell this. AB's going to sit out, be rested, have the antibodies. He comes in, and we can't do the trade anyway till next week, so you don't get hit and hurt by this AB sitting. So AB and Mike Davis, I try that. Know what I'm saying, Mr. Punch? Okay, did I miss anybody's super chat? I appreciate all of you coming in here, dropping your support via comment, via like, via super chat. Mendez, I don't know if I got to yours. Thanks, Smitty, for your advice. Start Cooks as okay, yeah, I did get that one. I'd probably go Javonte Williams, but can you check with me, Lewis, on Friday night and Saturday night, midnight Eastern on the Fantasy Football Show? We'll be live at midnight Eastern, both Friday and Saturday, like we are every Friday and Saturday, as I have my live stream schedule right here. So check with me then. I may change it to Clyde. I don't think I will, but I may trade it to Clyde. Change my answer to Clyde. Kamara was good with Teddy B? Question mark. You guys arguing over Kamara? CMC and Devontae Smith for Metcalf and Najee. I take Metcalf and Najee. And you know what? That's like one of those ones where, like, if CMC's healthy, you still consider the deal, pal. Like, that's what I'm talking about. This trade right here, people are saying you can't get rid of CMC hurt. Yes, you can. There's people all over looking at these offers. That's why we're here. It may not happen in every league. Maybe your league barely trades. I can't help that. I can't help if your league barely trades. Yeah, too early to judge Kamara. I agree. Debo and Mixon for CMC? No. I want more. Trade CMC and Herbert for Hill and Mahomes. Wow. Yes. I take Hill and Mahomes, pal, and I run. I take Hill and Mahomes and I run, pal. because we even talked about Hill and CMC straight up isn't that risky right now, and you get the upgrade at quarterback. I love Herbert, but you get the upgrade, take it and run, pal. And that's exactly, I don't know if you guys are talking about CMC or Camaro with this question, but to end the show, let me say this. There's risk on both sides of the fence here. There is risk in reacting too fast to the CMC news. There is risk in there's risk in waiting to hear results. I want everyone, as we end the show, Mr. Punch says, what do you think I could get for Chuba right now? I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Mr. Punch, is really early to suggest. I would say, like, you could get Deontay Johnson type people. You could get, I don't know. You could maybe get like a Javonte Williams. Like that would be my early guess, okay? So we'll talk about that Friday night too. But yes, Javonte, Deontay, guys like that. But if we're ending this show, if you guys leave with anything, especially if you came in late, you're like, why is Smitty talking about this when we don't know? This is the whole point of the show, okay? Right here. If you take anything away, take this away right here. There is risk in reacting too fast to the Christian McCaffrey news. Plain and simple. There is risk in waiting to hear the results and missing your window of opportunity to get the most for McCaffrey now before news gets worse. There's risk on both sides of this coin. And so you have to determine what's good for you. You have to determine what your team is capable of withstanding and holding up. Without CMC, do you have Chuba Hubbard? Can you make it through and weather the storm if he's out 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks? Could you not make it through? Look up hamstring strain injuries. They can be days, not necessarily, Matt. They most times on a hamstring injury like this, you will make it worse. You will turn it into a tear if you play. He's definitely gonna. I mean, Matt, maybe he had a cramp. Like, if that's the case, and I don't think that's the case, if he had like the minorest of minorest strains, and it's more along the lines of a cramp, then he could come back in like a week. Probably, but they still wouldn't push him, I don't think, next week because they don't want it to turn into something bigger. But that would be like your best case scenario if everybody misjudged it. All the early medical takes on this, because there have been a lot of early knee-jerk medical reactions, and I trust some of them more than others, and some of them are just looking for clicks. I get that, and in a sense, yeah, why am I doing a show? To get viewers? Sure, but I'm not trying to mislead anybody. I'm not telling anybody he's out. I have a question mark. I'm asking, McCaffrey out 3 to 6 weeks. That's what everyone's early reporting. I'm not necessarily making the determination on this. This is what people are floating out there in massive amounts of different videos and press releases and news pieces out there. I'm reacting to it. I'm translating it. I'm group thinking it with you. I've given you, if anybody takes away that I'm suggesting this is the case and that's it, plain and simple, Smitty's going to pay for it. Smitty, you're going to pay for this when he's out 1 week. You're going to be wrong. You aren't listening to what I'm saying. If anybody in here thinks I am telling you this is for sure going to happen, you're not listening to what I'm saying. What I'm trying to do is break down all the different angles on this. Raj says 4 to 6 weeks. I talked to Dr. Raj on it. He said 4 to 6 weeks. It's like you don't strain your hamstring and come back in a week or two. You just don't. You have the only way to heal a hamstring is rest. So if he's got an actual strain that's along the lines of not so bad but enough that takes him out of a game immediately, you're looking at 1, 2, 3 weeks probably minimum you're probably looking at 3 to 6 weeks as a pretty standard amount of time. And if he comes back early, he tears it. He makes it worse. You start over from ground zero with maybe even a worse situation. So I'm just that's the thing is hash. I'm trying to give everybody an array, as you say, an array of options and ways to think about this. I just find it so entertaining when people come in and go, Smitty, you're being reckless by saying 3 to 6 weeks. Smitty, you're being reckless by telling people to trade CMC. I'm not doing anything. I'm giving you options like Hash is saying here. We broke down the different scenarios. You have to decide for yourself if you feel that there's more risk in reacting too early or more risk in waiting to hear the results and missing your buying opportunity of getting players that you probably won't get on Tuesday. If it comes out he's out 4 to 6 weeks, do you think anyone in their right mind is going to give you a Najee Harris and a Deontay Johnson for Christian McCaffrey if he's out 4 to 6 weeks? So don't tell me that there's overreaction going on by contemplating the waiting too long part. Because if you wait too long, you won't get a Najee Harris and a Deontay. Your season's done. So you got to decide for yourself what you're going to do and what makes the most sense for you. Mr. Punch says you'll see me tomorrow, Friday night. Mr. Punch, I appreciate you. Friday night, we're live, midnight Eastern. Saturday night, midnight Eastern. And we're going to attack this and a whole lot more. So, a guy in my league who has CMC usually dominates will sink to the bottom of the league if he doesn't make a trade. Zach says DJ Chark or Rondell Moore, or should I start Kareem Hunt or J-Rob? I probably like Kareem Hunt, then Rondell Moore in that order, and I kind of like both, pal. I really like Rondell Moore. If it's PPR, I love Rondell Moore. Panthers are 3-0 and will not rush him back. It's a very, very good point, mister, that nobody, including myself, has mentioned yet. So, Terry Roberts in the building, people. Smitty, could you explain the anchor in trading? My weak point in fantasy is trading part. So real quickly before we go, the whole point in trading is this. Okay? You go find the anchor part of the trade. So if you're trading away CMC, you're going to find two pieces, right? What's the anchor of the trade? You go find anybody. It could be the worst player of the two in the deal. It could be the best player. It doesn't matter. If your goal is to get a running back, Terry, and let's say Javonte Williams is your anchor, you go identify Javonte Williams. You write him in here. Now you look at the other owner's team. Now that you have your anchor part of your trade locked down, you look at his roster at all of his players. And guess who's sitting there? DK Metcalf. You know this because you're looking at this guy's roster. You're focused on this guy's roster because you identified the player on his team as your anchor. So you're taking Javonte. Javonte's your guy. DK's sitting there. Maybe he also has Ridley because he went wide receiver, and he's struggling. Now you identified he's got Javonte. You've identified he's got two wide receivers. You can send him a running back because he went wide receiver. He's failing anyway. Now you have two options, DK and Ridley. So you go Javonte and DK, Javonte and Ridley because you've anchored down Javonte as your main part. Let's say the anchor was DK. Same concept. Let's use the same players. So Javonte is sitting over here. And right here is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay. You identify a DK. DK Metcalf's my anchor. I want DK to be my anchor of the trade. Let me make this more clear. DK is the anchor of the trade. Over here, now that you've identified the anchor, here's his team. He's got Javonte. He's got CEH. You would do either one potentially if you really felt like McCaffrey was going to be out a long time. That's how you make a trade. That's how you use the anchor approach. And it's really a simple way to identify how to not overpay and to get enough. So hopefully that helps you, Terry. Appreciate all of you. Thank you all for watching. This was a good 1 hour and 4 minutes on how to trade away a hurt Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully he's not out on the 4 to 6 range. Hopefully it's 1 to 3. We don't know. I want to finish the show saying we do not know. We have no indication whether it's 1 week or 6 weeks or something even worse or something not even. Maybe it was a cramp. Maybe he has no damage whatsoever. The MRI results come back great. They rested him as a part of just being cautious with him last year, and they didn't tell us anything. That could happen too. But if that ends up happening, what I've advised all of you to do is to make a trade that makes sense for the worst case scenario happening. If the worst case scenario ends up being you trade McCaffrey away prematurely, but you get DK and Monty, let's say, okay, is the risk of accidentally trading away Christian McCaffrey prematurely but landing DK and Monty, is that a worse risk than waiting on the news and getting nothing on Tuesday because no one wants a 4 to 6 week player out? You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, punch the thumbs up on the way out the door. Thank you, Sean. You're the man, pal. You are the man, Sean. Later, Silver. Silver talked me into going live. You guys all owe Silver a round of applause because I was not going live again. And Silver said, Smitty, hit the YouTube, pal. I was on Instagram talking about this, and Silver said, hit the YouTube, pal. We hit the YouTube. We're here because of Silver. Later. Appreciate you all. Tell your grandmas about this.